Take a racetrack that is almost all straightaway on one side, then bend up the other side like a pretzel. That's Fuji. Speed will be key here, but if your car handles poorly, it's gonna be a rough time. Let's see who can find the balance between them as we get ready to watch round 11 of the IMSA Vintage Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Fuji's been around for decades, but has only been on iRacing for a short time, so let's take a closer look with our track guide. Welcome to Fuji International Speedway. Built right at the foot of the picturesque Mount Fuji and a mere 1.5-hour drive southwest of Tokyo, it certainly resides in a prime location. Having been around since 1967, this place is perhaps most well known for its presence in the classic video game Pole Position. However, its modern incarnation looks nothing like it did back when that game came out in 1982. At just under 3 miles, or 4.5 kilometers, its two layouts have 14 and 16 turns, which is significantly more than what it started with. Without the banking that used to be a part of the first and final corners, its most notable feature nowadays is the front stretch that covers nearly a full mile. The turns that make up the other half of the track make for quite a technical challenge. It includes everything from the long sweeper of 100R to the tight confines of hairpin, to the finicky back and forth of nets. This place hosted Formula One back in the 70s and again in the later 2000s, but it has a much stronger history hosting endurance racing. Sports cars are still a heavy staple here. That's not to say open-wheelers don't still call this place home, though. Lower-level formulas, as well as Japan's popular Super Formula, make frequent visits. From humble origins in sim racing's history to arriving 40 years later on iRacing, Fuji has been a fan favorite for a long, long time. Well, as we said, this is a track that requires a lot of straight line speed, and considering how many cars are here today, this is going to be a busy one, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuji International Speedway is one of the newer tracks on iRacing, and its no chicane layout creates a fast-paced, intense 14-turn, 2.79 mile or 4.49 kilometer clockwise circuit. The Nissans will definitely feel the most at home here, with their copious downforce helping them through the many medium-speed corners scattered throughout. But this track is not without pitfalls for them, being Daiichi, the Hairpin, and Dunlop through Panasonic. The Audis will struggle around here, as you always are in a corner or setting up for a corner around here, but that doesn't mean that there won't be good battles amongst the Audis, as the nearly mile-long straight provides a good passing opportunity. Multiclass here, on the other hand, is a pure case of survival, with the Audis focused full forward on trying to nail their lines, and the Nissans just trying to wade their way through. Our last visit here proved the chaotic nature of this track, with the fast kinks of Coca-Cola and Dunlop, as well as the hard braking into Daiichi being the biggest pinch points. With one championship still to be decided, I'd expect our top drivers to be a little bit more reserved this week, Joe.
All right, well, as the drivers get their qualifying times in here with the sun rising, why don't we take a look at the championship with Fabian Jungbluth up on the top right now in the GTPs, and might actually be able to clinch today with the drop weeks helping him out. He has a minimum of 13 points that he will score no matter what, even if he wrecks out and takes a 0 out there. And Van Grau behind him by more than 20 points means that it's going to be difficult for anybody to catch up to Fabian. Mustonen going to try and climb his way back forward despite missing a lot of races, and is very close to taking second place away, but is unlikely to be able to do anything to Fabian because of those drop weeks. Tie for fourth between Sintez Galindo and Del Olmo. Won't see a repeat of Javier this time around for another championship here in the GTPs, but still it fares well on some weeks, not as well on others. Just can't seem to be as quick as before. From there on down, it gets pretty tight amongst many of your top 10, as you can see with Timothy Reed at 80 points, in fact. So let's take a look now at the GTOs and how that one sits, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. Yoko Lescala is going to be right now pretty much clinching the championship with a decent points haul over Noah Lundberg. And as long as he has a good race here today, it's not going to be really a contest between himself and Noel. But that being said, he could wreck out this week, giving Noel a possible chance at a win if he wrecks out 2 weeks in a row. But that being said, he still, I believe, has a full drop race in hand over Noel Lundberg, so it might just be clinched just as it is. Mickey Friesen, on the other hand, still within scratching distance of Noel Lundberg, and their drop weeks are actually relatively similar, their drop points. So I would expect that Mickey could pass Noel if he has a bad week. But from Friesen on back to Andreas Schuster down in 7th position, very tight in the points between all of them. Just 129 points and 118 points separating, so that's 11-point difference between 3rd position and 7th position. Cam Porter, who's been in second split most of the season, down in 8th position, and then down to Arturas Kundalis in 10th position. Still a close fight for 8th through 10th as well, Joe.
It's a quick lap time around here, and as we take a look, they're going to be doing a lot over the 40 minutes of this race at only a minute 20 to circulate if you're in the GTPs. Open setups on these cars are expecting drivers to try and trim them out as best they can without losing too much grip to suffer on the other part of the track, just because they'll need it for the overtakes. No spare car if you run into any trouble, but this is a modern F1 track now, so it's got a lot of paved runoff to help save you if you do get off the circuit. But watch out for those, because 17 incidents will get you a drive-through penalty, and 25 will actually disqualify you over this 40-minute race. In qualifying, I see Mustonen has taken the provisional pole by a pretty big margin over Laust Olsen at 0.6 of a second with such a short lap, Adam. I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah, it really is. Honestly, that's a very, very quick time, and a very quick time, a lot of time actually, to put over Laust Olsen, who's currently in second position. Raul Roches Guardia in third, only about 0.2 behind Laust, and then it's very tight from him on back through the field, all the way through Jose Delgado in 19th. Andreas Sluimba, on the other hand, is going to be our current provisional pole sitter. And I'll be honest with you, Joe, I don't see Yuko here today. So that is going to either mean that he's clinched the championship, but doesn't have to show up. Oh, never mind. He's in P5, I believe. So yeah,
he's in the GTPs.
In the GTP. So I believe he knows that he's clinched the GTO championship. So here we are with Yuko in P5 at the GTPs.
Yeah, I was just about to say that maybe he's over at Bathurst and running that right now and deciding to take this as a drop week. But no, he is taking part, and he's going to see what it's like from the other side for a bit and see if he can be just as quick there. And also, I guess, what it's like having to dodge around these GTOs instead of having to watch your mirrors for the GTPs sliding through. Uguay is going to put himself into, it looked like, 8th position. Yeah, so the 37 well up there in spite of his I rating showing him being rated much lower than that 8th position.
Yeah, absolutely. So qualifying going very well for most of our drivers. But I will say, Joe, it's such a large GTP field compared to our GTO field. I think that's going to play havoc with some of the GTO battles that we're going to have today.
So Arnold Cook, our next one coming around. Let's see what he's got underneath him as he's on his second flying lap, and he's on the last twisty portion before he really needs to open it up. Actually, no, he was going through the hairpin, so he still has this last twisty portion to go through, down through Dunlop, Nets, and Panasonic. This is where they've taken the chicane out in this version, and I say thank goodness, as I definitely like that little kink at Dunlop much better. But into Nets, it is back and forth and uphill the whole time, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. So as he swings through into the final sector, it's such a challenging portion of the track, and coming around to the right, he's going to hit the gas and come back onto this long straightaway. You really do have to focus on getting the exit of that corner right. So he's got to power it down the straightaway, and the start-finish line is at nearly the end of the straightaway, so it takes a long time to get down there to cross the start-finish.
Yeah, it takes a long time, and it offers up chances to try and to overtake with that slipstream and also snipe people at the very end. So that could be a big problem for drivers that are in a close battle all the way to the finish. Cash Hansen could be the last of our drivers that looks to try and finish a lap, but doesn't seem like he has enough time, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe that's going to be it. That's going to take us to the standings.
All right, so that'll be our qualifying done, and Tuomas Mustonen is going to be on the pole position. Laust Olsen will start from second, followed by Raul Guardia in third. Not a name I'm familiar with. Must be a newcomer to at least the broadcast races. Xavier Sanchez failed to qualify back at Mid-Ohio in the Lotus 49s. He does much better today in the GTP, starting from fourth. Joko Leskala will be starting in fifth, followed by Aitor Sintes Galindo P6. Then it's Brendan Lim in seventh and Fabian Jungbluth in P8. Timothy Reed starts ninth and Fernando Sorato rounds out your top 10. Row 6 sees Timothy Vaughn in 11th and Javier Del Olmo all the way down in 12th. Not a good qualifying for him. Jack Wells will be P13 and Gaston Santarelli will be in the 14th spot. Jack Sullivan, 15th for him, then sees Shady Ahmad on the outside in 16th, Jose Delgado in P17, and Henrik Camara flanking him. Martin Kratrick starts in 19th today, top 20, going to be rounded out by Pablo Costa. Few more cars in this big GTP field. Ruben Garrido starts 21st, and Antonio Alvarez 22nd. Fabian Jaroszewski will be in the 23rd spot. Jonathan Alonso, he starts 24th, Paul Ferrer 25th, and Chris Lopez 26th. A slew of cars that didn't set qualifying times. Jack David Spickett, AJ Roper, Carlos Fonseca, Toby Yeomans, Byron Long, Sergei Romanov, and Lance Simon starting at the back of the prototype field.
And then we've got the GTOs with Andreas Sliumba in pole position over Arturas Kundelis and Andreas Schuster in third position. Gregorio Buscemi lining up on row 2 as well. Ian Haycock starts off at 5th spot with David B. Lehman alongside him on row 3. Cam Porter on row 4 with Doug Cloud in the top 10, rounded out by Adria Huguet. And then we got Marcos Bayon in 10th position. And then we have Sam Skovsgaard in 11th spot with Romain Bello in 12th, Thorben Pollock in 13th, Arnold Koch in 14th, and Martin Lopez Fernandez in 15th. And he's the last of our qualifiers. Then we have Kaj Hansen, 16th position, rounding out your 16 GTOs, 33 Nissans for a 49 car field.
Oof, so many prototypes here today as they're now heading up around nets. We'll show that in just a moment here as Laust Olsen with a front row start. He's got a great opportunity here with it being so early in the morning. It is still before 7 a.m. here in virtual Japan. So we'll have these very cool conditions most likely for the entire race before things start to heat up. As the GTOs also coming through the last little bit. They usually separate the two fields on the start, although they get the green flag at the same time. Hopefully they'll at least be on the front stretch by the time they get that signal to go, because it's a long ways before the pace car peels in, which is just about now. And control is given over to the number 5 machine. We wait patiently for the call from the flag stand. Looking for it, and there it is. Green flag is out for Tuomas Mustonen, who accelerates away, and Olsen is under threat from Guardia right away. In fact, Sanchez is now going to try and threaten to take both positions as they fan out 3 wide down into Daiichi, and they'll be able to get through, but it is Laust Olsen who comes out ahead. Rest of the field has no accidents. Let's go to the GTOs.
It's 3 wide for the lead of the GTOs as well. That's Gregorio Buscemi, who takes a deep dive down to the inside. Our leader, our pole sitter, really had a bad day, and a big bump off for the number 12 machine in the background. That's Andreas Schuster, who's gone off, as well as 3 other cars. Marcus Bayon and Ian Haycock is already in the pits. 3 wide, we've got some spinners behind them as well. Chaos in the Audi field.
At least 4 cars I saw that were sent off to the outside of the track. Don't know if more were involved. Olsen managed to fend off the battles, the fights there into the first turn. Now he's got to focus forward to catch up to the number 5. Sanchez into P3, overtaking his rival right at the first time asking, up at the front of our GTOs. Kundelis fighting for the lead with Buscemi as they come down into Dunlop. He is ahead.
Absolutely, and here comes Andreas Sliumba to regain positions from his bad start. He got jumped by Arturas Kundelis. It was basically a jump start, but because they're in the Audi field, it didn't get counted. So Andreas Sliumba was able to lost those positions, but now back up to second as Gregorio Bishebi struggling with grip through this final sector.
Wow, this is definitely a shakeup here at the top of our GTOs. Some slightly familiar faces, I should say, at the front, but a lot of them have not won that many races compared to the usual crew that we have up there. Guardia, in the meantime, back down here in third as he's taken it back from Xavier Sanchez since we last looked. And we've been wondering what Lescala could do there in the GTPs. Well, he's still in the top 5.
Absolutely, and the GTP leaders doing a good job of trying to streak away from their competitors. I can report that in the Audis, it's still very tight stuff into turn 1. There it is. Arnold Koch holding up Doug Cloud and Cam Porter and Thorben Pollock, as Doug Cloud actually makes 4 positions up on that turn alone up to 3rd spot.
And Cam Porter into 6th spot. This is a great day for him. Qualified pretty well and looking decent here for maybe a top 5 as he looks to the inside of Arnold Koch for that top 5 position, but no dice. Arnold trying to poke his nose down to the inside. Long, deep braking there from Paulik. He somehow sneaks through, but the undercut gives Cam a chance to try and fight back.
Not exactly a fun track to do single laps on, or qualifying laps in the GTOs, but a fun track to battle on. So many deep braking opportunities, so many times where people can make a mistake, such as Arnold Koch making a mistake there. But here we are, Jukka Lescala trying to make a move right now in 5th spot.
So past Sanchez, makes a nice tidy move, and then behind them, that is Heitor Sintez Galindo, the former champion, also getting into the mix here. So I can report that Porter did get that 5th place with that move into the final part of the track.
Absolutely, and look at this, Jukka Lescala doing a good job right behind. He's got Xavier Sanchez tucked in behind him. Jukka needs to make his way up to the back of Raul Roches Guardia and try and get himself into a position where he's attacking instead of defending. It's hard to make that transition over to the GTPs from the GTOs, but here we are with our leader, our leader Andreas Sliumba being attacked by Arturas Kundelis. Back a little bit further, Arnold Koch makes another position up to tuck in behind Cam Porter for the 6th position.
Yeah, they're running away from Buscemi at this stage by about a second and a half, it looks like. So they've cleared themselves. As long as they can keep him out of that draft, should be a little bit easier to prevent a draft train starting to form as they enter into the hairpin, swinging around, and then it's a pretty long run up to the Dunlop kink in these cars. So they're going to try and get that speed up, get themselves free of an attack into that swift right-hander. Heitor Sintez Galindo chasing on the number 4 of Sanchez, going to try and demote him another position in as many laps, but he's not able to get close enough for the attack into the hairpin.
Yeah, got almost there, but Xavier Sanchez still off of the draft, off of Jukka Lescala, and trying to do his best to catch up to the back of him. Meant that Heitor Sanchez Galindo didn't get the move. Taking a look back further at Timothy Reed, who had a bad qualifying, puts him in the back of this insane pack that includes last year's champion Javier Del Olmo, who has not been having a great season this season. Timothy Reed, though, look at this string of GTPs. They're starting to string out a little bit, Joe, as they approach the back of the Audis.
Oh, but everybody's taking different lines into hairpin there. It's just, I mean, take your spot and try and send it. They're still doing it. I've never seen this before. This looks more like a super speedway race with the way that drivers are all over the track.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all bottled up, actually, behind Jack Sullivan. As Tuomo Mustonen has a 3-second lead over the rest of the field. Some chaos in the mid-pack of the GTOs, but our GTP leader is nearly about half a straight away from catching up to the back of the GTOs rather, and the GTOs are still more or less strung together.
Yeah, 49 cars is almost an entirely full field that we've got here, so expect it to get crowded. And I mean, you can tell, even though this is early in the race, look at how crowded the GTP cars are. Potential champion, Fabian Jungbluth, going to try and take one more position there. And maybe there was a bit of a connection problem with the driver he was battling with. He's now in 6th place. Not sure what happened to them.
Yeah, that was a spin, actually, in turn 1. So just took it too deep into the corner and ended up spinning out. So Yeah, that was Fabian Jungluth making his pass on Brendan Lim, who took it too deep into the corner.
I don't know if this sixth place will be enough to clinch it, but I suspect it will, based on what we saw with the points situation. So Jungluth at this stage is sitting pretty as long as he can bring it home. Sliumba back in the lead of the GTOs has kept Kundelis behind him by about half a second. But every time they get to this main straight, these cars punch a big hole in the air. So no doubt Arturis is going to be trying to use it to great effect.
Yeah, absolutely. So Arturis, I believe that these two are just going to try and draft each other and continue to break away from the rest of the field. Here we see a move being made on Cam Porter by Doug Cloud. These two, whenever they're in the same race together, they have been tied together and battling, and I expect to see that for the rest of the day as well. Our leader in the GTP, Tuomas Mustonen, is up to the back of the GTOs, though.
And the crazy thing about these two is they almost always have us give us webcams to watch, so we can kind of see their reactions in their battles. Mustonen, though, you mentioned up at the top, now that he's caught the traffic, has to kind of pick and choose his way by. Beautiful scenes here with the sun glinting in from the side off of these cars. He gets a short clearing at a break amongst the slower class.
Bad news for Laust Olsen. He got caught up in that middle of that pack of 4 cars that Mustonen just went by. That's a sketchy moment for Mustonen on the inside.
He manages it, though, and doesn't lose too much time at all. Now this is going to be tough, though. It switches back and forth so much here up through nets. He's going to have to be very careful about how he crosses the racing line.
Absolutely. So quite a few drivers, oh my goodness, trying to make moves around the outside there as Mustonen just trying to cut his way through this field right now. A real challenge for all.
In fact, I think there was a little bit of contact between himself and Skovgaard there. So looks like he'll get away with it for now, but definitely pushed it very close. In the meantime, this is the front stretch where he's got a much better chance to overtake a bunch of them, Adam.
Looks like Jack Sullivan actually blew his engine, one of the GTPs. He's back in the pits now as our that gigantic pack of the GTPs that were following Jack Sullivan finally released, but they're going to keep battling as they head towards turn 1. That's Javier Del Olmo trying to make a move on Jack Wells, and Fernando Serrato getting a move made on him by, I believe that was Fabian Jungluth.
And that's also Lescala in there as well. Sanchez has slipped backwards a little bit since the start of this race, especially considering how good he was off the line. Jungluth, does he want to try and risk things here, considering he's in the midst of such chaos as they'll all go to the inside for the most part, down into the hairpin. Sanchez attempting a pass on Lescala, but no dice.
This is the most dangerous point of the day. That first pass through the GTO field is the most dangerous point for both classes as they're all just trying to survive this moment. Fabian Jungluth, though, with a good move there on Xavier Sanchez, who took it too deep through the cut there. And now as we enter into the final sector, this really challenging final sector for the GTPs, where it's really hard for them to get traction down. Jungluth with a possible move on Lescala, but Lehman takes the inside away from him.
I'm not sure if maybe Sanchez is just a bit out of sorts or what, but he's let a number of cars overtake him what looks relatively easily here today. Up at the front of them, you can just see Laust Olsen in second place, still trying to catch back up to Mustonen, but he's continued to drop time, and it stayed pretty much the same between P1 and P2 in the GTOs, with Sliumba still leading.
Absolutely, Sliumba leading, and Arturis Kundelis just kind of drafting off of him. But look at this battle. That Xavier Sanchez getting passed by Fernando Serrato. Ever since having that slide moment, Sanchez has just been going backwards with Jungluth passing him, and now Serrato. So riding on board with Sanchez, we'll see how he navigates the rest of this traffic as they go past Cam Porter and Doug Cloud.
My goodness, you need chameleon eyes today to follow all the action. It's just happening everywhere you look. Sanchez still in behind Serrato, not going to try to make the pass down to the hairpin that time. They'll switch back around, coming up through 300R. Like I said, it gets pretty quick. You're up to 170 miles an hour before they get on the binders here for the Dunlop kink, and then it slows down even more into nets.
Absolutely. So as they go cutting through, they've made it through most of the field. They just have to battle for the lead of the GTOs to go between Sliumba and Kundelis. So they should catch them on the straightaway. It shouldn't be much of a factor for them. But that means that Fabian Jungluth has an opportunity to make a pass on Lescala if Lescala gets a bad exit here. Both of their exits about the same, but Jungluth is going to have the draft.
Oh, and contact, sending the 26 around. Unfortunately, Cam Porter going to lose out tremendously, being shoved off. Look at the disappointment on his face after his race, which was looking quite good, gets absolutely ruined.
Yeah, Jack Wells just dove it down to the inside, unfortunately, and took any opportunity from Cam away. Here is that battle for the lead in the GTOs, though. Actually, no, this is between Sam Skovsgaard and David B. Lehman, as they're getting passed by some GTPs as well. Looks like Lehman's going to make the move. Is so Skovsgaard going to go for a late braking move on the inside? He is.
Oh, maybe a little too late. Cut back underneath. Skovgaard going to try and see if he can sneak through once again. Arnold finds himself wheel to wheel coming down into Coca-Cola. This is a tricky one to be too wide through. And it looks like, oh, that actually puts Sam off the racing line. He goes completely off the course. He doesn't get a slowdown penalty from that. Certainly got an incident point, and that is going to fend off Arnold, at least for now. However, look at Paulik. He's got a chance to try and sneak one away around the outside.
Oh, Pollock had to take a little bit of avoiding action to avoid Arnold Koch, who took it too deep through the corner, but he's going to get that move done. Arnold Koch at one point was up 10 spots, but now has dropped back down to up 7 in that 7th position.
They'll get overtaken by another of our GTPs. Ooh, as what happened to Jack David Spickett, who had to start from the back of the GTP field, and looks like he's had more woes.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a spin, actually, going through a couple of corners ago. Didn't hit anything, but it's going to put him back a little bit.
Cars clipping the dirt here as they try to slalom their way past some of the slower class cars, and eventually able to find some clear air now in this tight little fight coming into the first corner. Oh, something happens to Heitor Sintes Galindo, who just went off at turn 1. There you can see him actually just returning now.
Yeah, he took avoiding action to avoid getting into the back of an early braking Timothy Vaughn, who had to deal with some GTO traffic. But take a look at this. Sintes Galindo now being caught by Javier Del Olmo.
Wow, things have taken a different turn there for the number 10 here today. Del Olmo behind him, Reed in there, Brendan Lim, Jack Wells. They're basically all in a line. Now vying for 9th position. I think Heitor was around 5th or 6th before he had that accident. Let's see if he can recoup and try and get back up there.
We'll take a look at the sun glaring off of the back of this camera here as Heitor Sintes Galindo trying to hang on to that position. He's got, as you said, Javier Del Olmo and Timothy Reed tucked in behind him. And it goes all the way back to Jack Wells in 13th position. So this is now a 5-car fight for 10th.
Very fitting in the land of the rising sun to get this beautiful sunrise over the horizon. Whoa, big slide for Sintes Galindo. How did he catch that car? It's still going to cause him to pay the price. Del Olmo much better off of the final turn. He dives to the inside. He's clear ahead of him now at this stage. Will he shut the door? Oh, it might not be over. Here comes Timothy Reed as well. Wants to make it a twofer, trying to demote Heitor Sintes Galindo. What a miserable single lap for the number 10.
Yeah, Timothy Reed could have bled out to the outside there to take away the line from Javier Del Olmo, but decided that he didn't want to take the risk of getting spun. So instead, it's going to be tight stuff. Del Olmo has to take avoiding action. He nearly clipped the side of Timothy.
Things are getting a little bit sketchy out there. Brendan Lim now on the backside of Sintes Galindo. Timothy Reed able to make that pass into P10. Don't forget about Jack Wells. He's in that black and blue machine, just kind of stalking everybody in front of him. He sees all the action happening on this train. He knows if someone goes off, he's going to pick that one up.
Just an update on Tuomas Mustonen, still out front by 8.6 seconds over Laus Olsen. Laus still hanging on to that 2nd position over Raul Roches Guardia, and doing a good job doing so, but no match for Mustonen out front.
Seems to have been incredibly quick whenever he shows up. I think if he had been able to attend a few more races, he would have been a serious threat for the championship. As it is, consistency for Jungbluth has paid off very handsomely for him in the meantime. Koundalis on board with a 2nd place driver, still chasing on Sliumba. What do you think, Adam? Does he have something for Andreas, or is this him pushing it 10/10ths?
Oh no, I think he's got Andreas, but I think he's just hanging out behind him for the sake of continuing to build that gap. It's now 10 seconds down to Gregorio Buscemi. As you see, he's got the run on Andreas, and he's going to do a bump draft instead. He's making the decision to stay behind because it's best for him as far as race strategy goes. But I think he's got Andreas fairly easily into turn one as Andreas locks up the brakes really hard going through there.
I'd say we should see what these cars are like on oval racing, but we have actually, because they raced at Phoenix on week 13 once. But
it's fun.
Yeah, it was a hoot. I mean, I wouldn't be against seeing a single class series with him to see how that goes. Meanwhile, back to Wells once again, still up against Brendan Lim just in front of him, fighting for 12th position as they go back and forth through the uphill technical final section here. He needs that run off of Panasonic. He needs the straight line speed to make the pass.
Yeah, but Jack Wells, he's been struggling today. He was the cork of the bottle for that ninth place battle for a long time. So now at the back of this train, he's just trying to hang on to the back of Brendan Lim. Brendan Lim has had spurts of speed. The man can be very quick, but he just hasn't had the luck and hasn't had the consistency. But I would expect to see Brendan Lim up there battling for top fives in a couple of seasons' time, Joe.
Well, he probably would have been battling for a top 5 here today. He's lost 5 positions from his qualifying, so he should have been up around 7th, but seems to have just fallen backwards a little bit. Andreas Schuster sporting quite the wound on the left-hand and right-hand side of the car, it looks like, so he has been in the wars.
Absolutely. So Schuster trying to just cut his way forward. Schuster's not had the greatest day out here. He's down 5 spots from his starting position of 3rd and just has been absolutely beleaguered by contact and by a couple of mistakes as well. So it's just been a struggle for him to get going, but now battling with Arnold Koch.
Yeah, in fact, all the action that we've seen out there has taken its toll. We've lost Ian Haycox, Chris Lopez, Jack Sullivan, Pablo Costa, Shady Ahmad, and Toby Yeomans. Looks like maybe Paulik will be gone as well. Schuster's got to run, and he's going to try the inside, even though Koch is going to guard off to that middle line. Ooh, he stays pinching him down, trying to prevent him. Is he going to go a little too deep as he looks hot into the corner? They're all going to make it and stay in the same order.
That was a good strategy from Koch to keep Schuster behind, but they've got Romain Bello now tucked in behind them as well, so it's going to be hard-fought battles between all of them. But look at the leader once again. I tell you, Joe, I think Kunulis is just playing with Sliam at this point, trying to force a mistake out of him.
Yeah, I think you're right. This has the hallmarks of just waiting for him to either, as you said, have an error or just going for that last lap pass, knowing that he's going to have enough pull potentially to try and take it away from him as long as he stays in the mix. Javier Del Olmo, though, our current reigning champion, but not for much longer, is sitting in 10th, just behind Sintez Galindo with Timothy Reed. In fact, I think all 3 of these, they've all had championships.
That's correct. All 3 of these are former champions who really, honestly, all of them have been struggling this season. They have been honestly lower top 5 most of the season, and so it's a real surprise considering the fact that they've been at the top at multiple points over the course of the last couple of seasons. One pass that I've been expecting to happen that has yet to happen, Joe, is between Fabian Jungbluth and Yuka Lesko. I keep expecting Jungbluth to have made that move from 5th position up to 4th position to improve his points championship standings, but just doesn't seem to be happening.
Such a far cry from the years that we saw Fabian Gerber take multiple championships.
Oh, wait, never mind. Here we go. Fabian Jungbluth making the move on Yuka Lesko right now.
And that's going to try and go to the inside. We know that Lesko is quite the fast driver. Well, Jungbluth is showing, hey, I'm not just a champion by attrition. I am going to try and show I am quick here today, going against one of the best around the outside. Oh, but he gets a bit of a pick from the GTOs. He's going to manage to find his way through somehow, sneaking by the slower GTOs around the long way and down into the hairpin. He retains 4th.
Yuko thought that he could make a pick out of the GTOs. Didn't end up happening. Timothy Vaughn's gone around.
Oh, he has indeed. He's going to get the car going. That was down in the hairpin. Oh, I was going to say, leave a little space there. You got a car coming through.
Yes, there's a little bit of contact off of Arnold Koch, and then Xavier Sanchez runs into the back of him. So unfortunately, just a little bit of multi-class action finally catching up to Vaughn.
Back to check in on the bump drafting up at the front of the field. Fastest lap for those two, definitely looking significantly quicker. In fact, they're 0.8 of a second faster on their best lap compared to Gregorio Buscemi. That is how much pace they have.
And I think that most of that, I'd say that probably about half a second of that is coming from the bump drafting that they're doing down the straight. So that's honestly no surprise to me to see them so quick. They're two of the faster drivers in the GTO field, with Jukka Leskala being in the GTPs today. But man, quick stuff from those two drivers.
I will say, if they legitimately bump drafted, it won't count as the fastest lap, though, because even at a 0x, that deletes that lap as the fastest lap. So it must have been maybe the two of them kind of using that slipstream with one another to run that quick one out there. Kundelis still sticking in behind him, coming up behind a little bit of our GTP traffic. Mustonen going by, and Lance Simon as well sitting behind them. He's fallen down to 23rd in those GTPs. Man, Mustonen, it's up to 10 seconds already.
Got a nice battle for 13th in the GTPs as well, 13th and 14th, with Gaston Santarelli, Antonio Alvarez, Mark Friedrich, and Paul Ferrer, who's a lap down, trying to just hang on to it. As we take a look at Mustonen, and Mustonen, as you said, Joe, nearly 12 seconds clear of Lars Olsen at this point.
I mean, we couldn't even see him in the background of that long shot. There he is finally, way back there, taking, is that a look? Almost kind of felt like it, causing Andreas to smoke the tires under braking as he tries to turn downhill into Daiichi.
I mean, I'll be straightforward with you, Joe. He's been smoking the tires through Daiichi quite for the last 4 or 5 laps. So, what's this? Doug Cloud and Gregorio Buscemi out-braking each other into Daiichi, and Gregorio off into the dirt.
Both of them going way out there. Thankfully, Cloud, I think, kept it within the track limits. Romain Bello, let's see if he can actually make this corner, as it looks like later in the tire life of these GTOs, it's getting tricky to try and slow them up. Lots of them definitely just locking up that inside front.
Man, looks like everyone's having some good battles today. Koch and Bello still side by side as they're getting passed by GTP traffic. That's close on the turn-in.
And that's going to give the chance for Arnold to take that 7th away from Romain, who fights back around the outside. Meanwhile, behind them, same deal with Marcos Bayon and Audrey Huguet. And, again, those GTPs going round the outside. They give them just a car's width and nothing more.
This doesn't make sense because you got plenty of downforce. You could make that pass, but look at this. Bayon trying to hang around the outside. I think he's got this on Audrey.
Marco's sporting quite a bit of damage on the right front. Hopefully he hasn't hurt the drive on that wheel there, because it is looking quite out of shape. And as they come down into Dunlop, looks like he is going to hold ahead of Huguet, at least at this stage. So that settles it out for now, but that's probably only until they get to the main straight and it erupts all over again.
Also, Fabian Nubuth has lost his position to Jukka Leskala. I think he took it too deep into Daiichi. Yes, he did. He got a right rear lockup that ended up spinning him around.
Oh no, not what Fabian wants. Although he's still in 6th place, so I think he's okay for the time being points wise. They'll go past our GTO leaders, but now he's chasing Fernando Serrato instead of Leskala.
Here we go with AJ Roper trying to make a pass on Jose Delgado. Looks like Delgado's going to hang on to that one at the moment as Roper tries to do the over-under on him. Here we go into the braking, so they're going to have a GTO of Andreas Schuster to worry about. Who's going to be the pick? Wow. Oh my goodness.
Somehow he managed his way through. Does he have a slowdown penalty for that? Yes, he does. Jose is going to have to give his time back. Surely Roper is going to be able to get by. That, or we're going to see a stop-and-go penalty unless he gives his time. He did give the time back. How in the world did Delgado give that time back and not lose the spot?
Well, this is a fairly new track, and it's entirely possible that some of the braking that they're doing into these corners is giving back time in a way that is a little bit unexpected. But, man, I mean, that was such a risky move up the inside. Taking a look at Cam Porter now. Cam trying to duke it out with Marcus Bayon now.
Yep, he's gotten back on track, but he's down in 10th. Far cry from where he was before as they weave back and forth. He's going to have to watch out in his mirrors. Jonathan Alonso. Oh, no! Takes the apex away from one. Oh, no! And Cam sent it too deep. He knows he made a mistake. He's going to laugh it off, but I doubt Jonathan is laughing nearly as much.
Yeah, all precipitated from Jonathan taking a very deep dive on both Cam and Marcus, and unfortunately Cam has some serious steering arm damage. I think he's going to have to take that one to the pits.
Yeah, that was quite the dive in there, and I don't blame Cam for trying to take advantage of it, but he was probably just as caught out. And, Arnold just, I think, lost a spot there.
I mean, he tried to make a pass on Romain Bello into Daichi and take it too deep. I think we're going to see this rinse and repeat for the rest of the race, Joe. The rest of these 14 minutes, we're going to see Audis taking it way too deep in that corner.
Yeah, despite the cool conditions, the tires just don't seem to be giving them the grip that they need late on. There hasn't been any changes that iRacing has done, any new builds or anything, so this is a bit odd to see so many struggling.
Well, one thing we didn't talk about at the beginning of this race is that we do have some pretty high winds, about 10 miles an hour, that may be affecting their braking performance down into Daiichi. So that could be something that's affecting them. 10 miles an hour is just enough to start affecting the aerodynamics and braking times on these vehicles. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what's going on here.
Delgado sticking in the tire tracks of Jack Wells, who weaves back and forth to try and deny him that extra little pull. He's going to get another taste of it, and that's plenty of straight line speed. Jack is a sitting duck. Oh. Delgado blows past.
Arturas Kundelis took a look at Andreas Sliumba there on screen and actually almost made the pass, but then Sliumba took the inside away. So Kundelis, is he deciding that it's time to go?
That's earlier than I would have expected. I thought maybe 5 minutes left at soonest that we'd see him try and make attempts here. So now, as they go around the outside, Alvarez and Santarelli will leave them be. Here is the pass attempt. I guess maybe it was because he got a little help from the GTP there.
Yeah, so that was Javier. I believe that was Javier Del Olmo that he got a move from, and this might have been a test, Joe. This might have been one of those, hey, let's give this a shot and see whether or not it works. It didn't work that time, so he's going to have to be a little bit more decisive, a little bit deeper on the brakes to try and get a pass done. I can report that Fabian Booth has remade the pass on Fernando Serrato to move himself up to 5th position now.
Yeah, excellent point. He could be trying to just do a little recognizance and see what he can do to set himself up for it, as Krajcik looked like he was going to pit at first, but then came back across the track there. Not sure if he's just trying to break these two. Here we go again. I don't know if this is another information gathering attempt here, but it looks like second place once P1 away.
Here we go with Kundelis trying to take away the inside line, but it's going to swap back to the inside for this next left-hander, and Sliumba's going to have the advantage here. So let's see what the Kundelis tries to push Sliumba deep and try and do the over-under. It's really hard to do around that corner because you can take it so deep, but look at that. Yeah, Sliumba retains.
Still, Kundelis has become now a more serious threat to our leader. Is he going to try and do anything differently to shake him, to defend? Or will he just keep doing what he's doing, knowing that he's fending him off twice now from around the outside? Romain Bello, in the meantime, going to be wheel to wheel down into the braking. And this is with Arnold Cook. And Arnold gets a good run off the corner, but I don't think he's going to be able to stay side by side.
Arnold and Romain have been fighting each other tooth and nail for the last couple of laps. And they've got Jonathan Alonso and then Laus Olsen. Second position, Laus Olsen, tucked in behind them. Alonso's going to make the pass around the outside. So next up is going to be Laus, who sneaks his way by Cook. And here we go again with Kundelis and Sliumba.
All right, here's the important corner exit off of Panasonic. Decent run here as we now hop on board with Arturas Kundelis. He's going to get that toe once again. In fact, will he try and take a bit from one of the GTPs? That's Jack Wells. Yes, he'll get an extra bit of toe. This could make the difference. They come up to the braking there, still nose to nose, too deep. He's going to get into the side of him, almost going around, keeps his foot in it as Sliumba gathers the car back up, and he's going to hand the position back.
Yeah, just got into the back there of Jack Wells, who has damage, and that ended up pushing him out into Sliumba. So hopefully neither of them have too much damage and they can keep fighting this.
The gentlemanly racing that you see in these series, yes, they race hard, but they try their best to race fair. That is not unfrequent. as often drivers will give positions back if they feel they've unfairly taken it. And that's not required by iRacing. That was all Arturis deciding he wanted to make sure this is done clean.
Yeah, bad news for Arturis is that he's got left front tire damage, and I believe that's going to be affecting him the drive off the corner. And that's the exact wheel that he needs all the power for to go onto the long front straightaway. So I would expect that he's going to take some damage off of that as we take a look back at them once again. Kundal is trying to set up Sliumba. Sliumba takes a shallow line. It's going to be interesting to see how Kundalis decides to try and get this pass done, if he can pull it off, because Sliumba's been very good on the defense on the outside of Daichi.
I mean, this might explain why he's trying to do what he's do, because he hasn't been ahead by the start-finish line, so he does need to be in the lead by the time they come back around. They'll get an interesting pull here from the lapped car Fernandez, which might change things a bit. Oh, no, maybe not. He's still going to try and see if he can get through, but he wasn't able to get the overlap this time, so Sliumba stays in the lead.
Interesting to see Fernandez taking it deep into that corner, really taking away the outside move opportunity from Kundalis, as Sliumba was committed to that inside. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he strategizes this and tries to get it done. Back further in the pack, we have Javier Del Olmo tucked in with a little bit of a group here of various different lapped cars. This is all the battle for 7th position, with Zabier's, rather 8th position, with Timothy Vaughn, Aitor Sentis Glendo, Timothy Reed, and Javier Del Olmo. Oh,
there was a problem with Jungbluth, our points leader, and he got ran into by Thorben Pauluk. Absolutely plowed into. Hopefully the car is okay and can make it to the finish. In fact, Pauluk just hit another car, Timothy Vaughn.
Okay. Well,
yeah, kind of my reaction too. Although I think, well, yeah, that one, the second incident, I've gone back and looked. He was trying to return to the track, and Timothy Vaughn was not really paying attention because he was clearly returning in a very visible spot. So that could go either way on judgment. Meanwhile, back to Arturis with Sliumba just in front of him. This one, he wasn't as close on the exit. Oh, he shows himself temporarily. A couple wiggles before he finally commits to the inside. Doesn't have the overlap and gets chopped off at the apex.
Yeah, I think those wiggles lost him enough speed to have that overlap at the apex, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Sliumba has been able to hold that outside up until we get to this left-hander of Coca-Cola. And it really has not been a move that Arturis has been able to pull off. He's got to be a lot closer on the exit of Panasonic to get that move done. Let's take a look at what happens here with Timothy Vaughn.
So watch, you can see the car. Yeah, I think he shouldn't have been tracking all the way out there.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would say that, Fabian Hu is getting passed by Xavier Sanchez right now. Or is he? More contact as Fabian faded back out to the outside, and Xavier didn't realize he was coming. So Fabian trying desperately to hold on to 6th position with that majorly damaged car as Jonathan Alonso slides into the corner ahead of him, making Fabian check up a little bit.
Not for position, so Jungbluth still in 6th. Again, he just needs to finish this race and take a couple points. He's already got a massive points lead. Really doesn't want to give away a 0 here today, even though it will give him 13 for his drop week that is still sitting in his pocket. He'll go around the outside of Doug Cloud, who still remains on a podium here today. Got to give credit to that number 20, who's been quietly doing his job.
I do believe that the final drop week is calculated after this race, so we'll have true points going into the final round. But Xavier says he's going to have a lot more speed than Fabian Jungbluth because of the damage. Mustonen, though, 16.3 seconds out front of this field, no surprise. And Andreas Sliumba side by side with Arturis Kundalis once again. Kundalis still stuck on the outside, nothing he can do.
What a defense it has been from Andreas. He's just been placing his car perfectly up to now. He's had to deal with a lot out there. Now he's getting creative. Arturis is going to see if he can shake him down to the hairpin, causing another lockup for the number 13 machine. So he's thinking this pass into turn 1 isn't working. I've got to do more.
mischief there from Koundelis is going to allow Sliumba to get out to 0.6 seconds. It's not going to matter that much considering the fact that we do have Raul Roches Guardia tucking his way through in that GTP third position for him. He's still 3.7 seconds behind Laust Olsen. And wow, Arturas Koundelis way over the curves. A major curb strike there is going to back him off even further from Sliumba, who has to contend with Jack David Spickett, who's trying to go through there. And then Jukka Leskala is going to be coming up as well. So major GTP pack trying to navigate their way through our GTO leaders right now.
Let's not forget, you get 1x for each off track. You get a 4x for car contact. And I'd say they hit hard enough before that they got a 4x from that one. So where are they sitting on those incident points at this stage? And do either of them have to be extra careful at the end?
Well, taking a look at the two of them, still no black flags for them at this point as they go through turn one. We have 3:24 left to go, so I'd say we're probably in the realm of 3 to go here for these drivers.
So not that many laps left. And it is not determined by our leaders here in the GTOs, although keeping a nice distance. This is exactly what Andreas has been needing, as long as the traffic doesn't slow him. Oh, he wants to get down to the apex. He was just off of it. Again, left only enough room for Serato to place his car and nothing more.
Yeah, so Koundelis now has left rear and left front damage. So it's going to be causing him issues. He's got Thorben Pollock, who's kind of playing a little bit of a pick right now, as Thorben's going to dive to the inside and allow Koundelis to get to the apex, but Koundelis can't get there. The car just not happy right now with all the damage he's got, as they've got Xavier Sanchez trying to cut his way through, staying ahead of Fabian Jungbluth. So Xavier's not going to want to give up time as Koundelis tries to put the power down. Sanchez slow off the corner.
And these two are each in important battles here today. They can't afford to give anything away, so it is who has the give and who has the take amongst them. Also, Mustinen's going to be very close on whether or not this is 1 or 2 laps left to go here, because he crossed the line at about 240.
I believe with doing 122s, yeah, it's going to be a couple of seconds, give or take, as long as he doesn't get held up by traffic. I don't think he will. Taking a look at Jack Wells now, as Jack tucked in behind AJ Ropar, but look at this, Arnold Koch trying to still battle with Romain Bello. Oh my goodness!
Holy cow, I've never seen a car do that. And, he's blown the engine.
The sausage curb.
The race is over for him.
It's bad in real life, it's bad in SimRa life as well.
Wow. Popped it all the way up into the air. And I mean, of course it's going to hurt the engine, but it must have hit the back of the car the way it jumped. But the smoking is a telltale sign that he is done. We were so distracted, I wasn't able to watch the clock to see when Thomas was crossing the line here.
Oh yeah, it's going to be risky. I'm not sure whether, I don't believe it's white flag yet.
We got to take another look at this one. This is absolutely incredible.
This is why sausage curbs are dangerous, folks.
That's to bring my skateboarding in. That's a nose manual right there.
I think what happened is when he went over the curbs, it compressed the suspension, so it dipped the back end down, and then he hit the rear axle on that curbing and just shot him up like a rocket. That was insane.
So Mustinen comes up into that same corner. Stay off those curbs, buddy. He does. And he has had no trouble today. 18, almost 19 seconds back to Laust Olsen. So while Laust might be on the podium today, it doesn't look likely that he was going to get a win unless something happened to this number 5 car. In the end, nothing did. A couple seconds left.
Yep,
is this going to be it? Checkered flag is out, and the win for Mustinen here at Fuji.
A great race from Mustinen, and unfortunate for us all that the battle in the GTO lead got separated because of the GTP traffic. But Laust Olsen finally feeling the benefits of that consistent drive. I didn't talk about it all race, but here he comes, second position today with a very consistent drive.
And Buscemi, I think, may have taken, or is looking to take P4, but got a little upset at some of the GTPs there at the end. Sliumba up and around the last couple corners. Once he was able to break away thanks to that missed shift for the number 2, that's all she wrote. So that slipstream was such an annoyance for Sliumba. He withstood it, and he is going to come away with a victory in the number 13 here today in Japan at the penultimate round. A well-run race of defense.
I do want to say Fabian Newbluth did lose 7th position to Acer Sanchez Galindo right at the end of the race, so he's going to come home in 8th today for our GTP championship leader.
What a race, as Doug Cloud is going to take 3rd place. And again, like I said, just a quiet and dedicated run from Doug to bring home a podium. He doesn't get them often. You can see it means something to him as he celebrates with a little wiggle across the line. We've got a little replay here. Let's see if we can suss out what we're going to be looking at. Oh, so this is the onboard looking back at the curb strike.
Wow. That, I agree, Joe. Never seen it before.
And I've seen some pretty hard hits into those sausage curbs before, and I've seen the cars do some wild pops into the air, but never running along the nose for that long on the track. Just bizarre stuff. All right, well, that is going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Fuji Speedway. We saw the penultimate round here in the IMSA Vintage Series, won by Tuomas Mustonen by 20 seconds, more than 20 seconds even, over Laust Olsen. Just never looked like he was in trouble. Olsen, though, ran a great one to second. He needs those good results lately, and I'd say he got one today. Guardia with a podium. We didn't get to check in on him much, but he did get some good battles back and forth. Our GTO champion ran a race in the GTPs today. Leskala finished in 4th. Serato was 5th, up from 10th. Sanchez going backwards, weirdly. He finished P6, ahead of Sanchez Galindo in P7, and Fabian Jungbluth slips back to 8th where he began this race. That might still clinch the championship. Javier Domo P9 was then followed by Timothy Reed, rounding out your top 10. Brendan Lim was 11th today. Then Antonio Alvarez went from 22nd to 12th, a gain of 10, and Timothy Vaughn was P13. Mark Krajcik, 14th for him, followed by Gaston Santarelli, P15, and then Jose Delgado, 16th. AJ Roper, last one on the lead lap, in 17th. Jack Wells, P18 for him, with Jack David Spickett in 19th spot. Henrik Kemmerer will be P20. And then on the next slide, Byron Long was 21st, Jonathan Alonso 22nd, and Paul Fair 23rd. Lance Simon, P24 for him. You get to cars 2 laps down with Fabian Jarachuski in 25th and Carlos Fonseca 26th. From there, it's mostly DNFs in your GTP field to the last of the 32 of them. Let's go to the GTOs.
Absolutely. Andreas Sliumba had a bad start of the race, but was able to gain back those 3 positions to finish in the lead, holding off Arturas Kudlis, who tried many times to make the pass on the inside of Daiichi. Could not get it done today. Arturas Kudlis finishes in 2nd position. Doug Cloud, after battling with Cam Porter for a while, ends up finishing in 3rd position. A great finish for him, last on the rostrum. Gregorio Buscemi rounds out your, finishes in 4th, with David B. Lehman rounding out your top 5. A great finish for David today. Andreas Schuster, not as fast as we've seen him in the past, finishing in 6th position, with Romain Bello down in 7th after he witnessed a very exciting finish for Arnold Koch. Marcus Bayon able to hang on to that position down there in the 7th position with, in the 8th position rather, with Audrey Huget in 9th, and then Kaj Hansen rounding out your top 10. Cam Porter, after having a couple of incidents today, finishes in 11th position, just outside the top 10. Martin Lopez Fernandez finishes in 12th, with Arnold Koch DNFing with that major engine damage. As well as Sam Skogsgaard, Thorben Pollock, and Ian Haycox in a first lap incident, unfortunately did not finish either.
Does look like we've got Sliumba, I think, here to talk to us, our winner in the GTOs. Let's see what Andreas feels about how this race went, because you had Arturas breathing down your neck for a good chunk of that thing and trying his darndest to get by. Did you feel confident you could hold him off?
I kind of felt confident because we've raced with him for a long time. So, I'm not really confident in the sense that I'd be able to hold him off, just confident that I can trust in him and, share the track when the need arises. So that really kind of covered off a lot of the potential anxiety that you have with the car breathing down your neck that close for that long of a time. So it was definitely a butt clencher. It wasn't really a relaxing Saturday drive, but we got it done. That's freaking amazing. Awesome stuff.
And I saw that there was a bit of chat in iRacing saying that some people were kind of unhappy with the traffic today. It was almost as large as the field can get at 49 cars. From the slower cars perspective, what was it like today?
It was basically just a sort of a juggling act with your eyes between looking at the apexes and scanning your mirrors and the relative in the black box. So really a lot of work to do that. So I don't know, basically from my side, I just try to, sort of telegraph my racing line and the line I'm going to be taking as well in advance as possible. And just basically if I see a Nissan closing in with a lot of overspeed, just give him more room on the inside. And thankfully, it all worked out. It doesn't always, but this time, luck smiled upon us today.
Well, you might need that next week, because if you thought this one was a bit crazy, we're going to Watkins Glen Classic layout. So that is the short version without the chicane. How are you expecting that to go?
It's probably going to be a lot of madness and chaos. But the Silverstone, the classic Silverstone, also kind of had the same sort of vibe, I suppose, except that it had a bit more corners that are slow. I suppose really practice is going to show us, but right now I'm excited and looking forward to the next one, actually.
Well, we're excited as well. Congratulations on an incredible defense and a great race.
Thank you, guys.
Andreas Sliumba, winner in the GTOs. I believe Adam is caught up with second place in the GTPs, Laus Stolzen.
Absolutely. Loust, very consistent drive today. We didn't end up talking about you that much, and that's got to be a little refreshing considering all the chaos that's happened this season. But Loust, I mean, how was your drive today? How was it? I know that Musadin kind of ran away, but you had Raul Roches Guardia breathing down your back for most of the race.
Yeah, Thomas was too fast for me, but it was quite exciting with Raul just behind for most of the race. That really kept the pressure on. I must admit I was a little happy when later in the race he finally lost a little ground and went a couple of seconds back. That gave me a little breathing space, so that was kind of nice. But yeah, it was a good race, and really had to try to be my best.
Absolutely, and provided Thomas was not there, that would have been a win for sure. But talk to me about the traffic today. This track has a very long straightaway that takes almost half of the length out of it. How was it navigating the rest of the track with all of the, all of the little kinks and the chicanes around here that change the line?
Most of the lap, actually, I think it's quite okay. The last 2 or 3 corners is quite difficult because even though the Audi is quite quick in the slow stuff, we still lose a lot of time behind them. But it's quite impossible to pass them there before the straight. So that's the major issue for me, at least. And then of course some of the quicker kinks, you have to be careful not to miss time when you're trying to pass on the exit, which I unfortunately did last day. So but otherwise it was quite nice today. Actually, it didn't run into any problems.
Well, it's definitely good to hear. Laust Olsen, thanks for joining us today. Second position in the GTPs. Anything you want to say? Anyone you want to thank today?
Yeah, thanks to the community for this great series, and thank you to you guys for the great broadcast you do.
Well, thank you, Laust, and that was Laust Olsen, second position in the GTPs, and we've got Aitor Sentes Galindo, who finished in 7th today in the GTPs with Joe.
Yep, and Aitor had a few troubles down at turn 1. Aitor, we saw a lot of the GTOs sliding wide into there, but it looks like you two kind of struggled with the braking in Daiichi. Was that a trouble spot for you all week?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I don't know what happened today, but yeah, it's very frustrating for me. I don't know if I had damage on the front or something. I lost. I was the slowest in the top speed, and yeah, it's also had troubles on the braking. Apparently, I found out that I was fiddling a lot with the brake bias today, but still, I don't know. I just feel frustrated because it's like on Wednesday this week I was feeling good, and today, well, I just had to fight for the P8 this season. Makes no sense. But yeah.
Yeah, I can understand after taking some championships, probably feels a little bit underwhelming. But the good news is, I mean, it looked like you were in the thick of some battles out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, thankfully, yes. After, I mean, when I watched the replay, I watched the stream afterwards, it's like, well, I'm taking actually quite some TV time. Hopefully I don't get a lot of the sending out of the T1. Hopefully not, we'll see later, but still. Yeah, I mean, this season has been unreal. I mean, weird. Let's just say that. Like last week, we were Timothy and me fighting for the win, and today we are fighting for the P10. And we fight. Sometimes we have lucky with the traffic, sometimes we're not. But yeah, well, regardless of that, I think Probably it's more enjoyable to have a fight with the mid pack, but still, after as you said, some championships and wins, it feels underwhelming a bit.
Well, commiserations. Still, thank you for the good entertainment when it was on track, and hopefully we'll talk to you at Watkins Glen.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the broadcast, and see you at your state.
That was Heitor Sintes Galindo finishing 7th. And last one, I believe, we've got Adam talking to Cam Porter, who is definitely in the midst of adventures as well.
Yeah, Cam, some intense racing out there between yourself and Doug Cloud. Seems like the two of you always end up getting together, but also not necessarily the day you were hoping for today.
Oh, what an incredibly frustrating day. I earned a drive-through penalty for too many incident points. I feel like that was due to Nissan's making incredibly poor decisions. I got beat up. Man, this is really tough. First of all, that first corner incident, I don't know what happened, but someone came flying up from behind and caused a big wreck in turn 1. Just take it easy in turn 1, guys. Come on. It's easy. Anyway, gosh, I got nothing else to say, really. I'm so mad.
Yeah, it seemed like there was just a lot of contact out there today with, Nissan's taking late dives up the inside, sometimes just not catching on the brakes as much. Some of the lapped Audi drivers.
On the outside of the slowest corner on the track, that's a really bad idea, too, to try to lap an Audi on the outside of one of those corners, because the Audis are faster through the slower corners. If you try to pass on the outside and notorious Audi understeer, I mean, that it's gonna cause a problem.
Yeah, and next week we head to Watkins Glen Classic, which is just a lot of more or less high-speed corners, a shorter layout than we usually race in Watkins Glen. I mean, given what we saw today, what are your thoughts heading into that race?
A little nervous, obviously. Just going to hope for the best, and hopefully that the Nissans will make some better decisions.
Well, Cam, not necessarily the day you were hoping for, finishing in 11th today. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
I want to give a shout out to my Gumbrook Racing teammates who are doing the Bathurst 12 hour right now, and I have to go, actually, because I'm going to get in the car again shortly. I just took a short break to IMSA Vintage.
Well,
because I like this series so much, so shout out to the community as well.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us, Cam. Take a deep breath and get back in the car and do it all over again. That's Cam Porter, who finished in 11th place today in the GTO. Back to you, Joe.
Love when the drivers are committed to such a big race and yet still will find time for these. That tells you how much it means to them to compete over here. But we are going to close it out with a big thank you ourselves to that IMSA Vintage community and to the team today, Adam, Daniel, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media website and merchandise store, but don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss a moment. Like we've been saying, Watkins Glen, Saturday, March 2nd, noon Eastern, will wrap up the season with a wild race, no doubt, over there. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here, as there's more coming up later this weekend. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.